before I get into the structure of the play, I did want to make one comment re Goodfellas. Having just recently rewatched Goodfellas, uh, I mean, there's plenty of great little touches that that film has outside of some of its more bravura scenes, like the Coco Cabana shot and a few other touches. There's some small scenes with Joe Pesci where I think it may have originated the scene with the cookie in An Origin of the Family, where he's more concerned of getting blood on his friend's floor than the fact that he actually killed a man. But that film is so immaculately scored. It's one of the best scored films in all of history. And I think that this play is very radical in its use of music. And I would say it's probably one of your best scored plays, should I say. The only one that I could really compete with this would probably be These Lesser Weathers of Beethoven.
Mm. They approach music in very different fashions. Again, the musical scores are antiphonal. The alternate public domain scores are all sea chanties, and the main scored are copyrighted rock songs. I got the Kiss song. I've got the White Stripes, and what's the third one I have? I don't even remember off the top of my head, but
nor do I.
Yeah, but it's.
I was going to say a Meatloaf, but I think it's only mentioned.
Yeah, I mentioned the Meatloaf song, but anyway, and so you use that because Lana in one of them is sort of she's enacting this kind of 1980s video fantasy where she's seducing Danny, to I think it's the Kiss song, I Was Made for Loving You, Baby. And then Danny, I think the counterpoint to that song is Danny singing a sea chanty about a whore, and the whore is called Sally.
You get to experience your voice.
Yeah, the Sally Brown character. It's called Sally Brown, the song, but it's changed to Lana. Oh, the other one is the Knack, My Sharona, which she sings as My Lalana or something.
There's also some just little interludes with the Wile E. Coyote song, and a song from what was it? Popeye.
Yeah. Leave Well Enough Alone.
Mm-hmm. So the structure of the play is in four acts.
Three and a half.
Yeah,
and one of the
four sections. I forget what the other one is. Like Gas Coming. It's a sort of a silly title.
Gas Pains and
gas. And so the first one is crescendo, then it's decrescendo, then gas pains, and then diminuendo.
Yeah. Okay, what about it?
Well, to speak of that structure itself, why did you decide on, was the half scene, was that sort of just like a rest for the main action? Because...
Well, there's two scenes, and the first scene is just Lana on the toilet, and then she sees the black rover ball.
Oh, yes.
And
the first intrusion of that, I immediately thought of The Prisoner.
Yeah.
Then I realized Lana would probably get that reference.
Yeah.
And she has all sorts of bizarre quirks like that. You could list some of them. She has the black medicine ball that she sees, which I don't know if that's just a writerly flourish, but the black medicine ball she sees, she has a disembodied voice. She longs to get pregnant, not necessarily to be a mother, but she needs to be impregnated. She has some emotionally disturbed moments. She's very clingy. She's constantly trying to conspire ways in order to get Danny to commit to her and take him away from his mother. And then on top of that, you have a character that also has a really real inner nastiness to the fact that the disembodied voice who becomes the voice of reason when it's been nothing but this ranting machine through the majority of the play.
Yeah, and it's just trying to show the dissonance that the Lana Brown character had. And, I'm sure that there are other plays that have used disembodied voices here and there. Certainly, some absurdist plays might have had uh, small scenes of that, but the disembodied voice here is deeper. And it's interesting, though, because the disembodied voice is to Lana almost what the Paul Idol character is to Danny Wagner. Because we don't see Paul Idol. We only hear his voice. Now, technically, I guess it's not specified, so someone could have an actual actor and have the computer screen facing the audience so that they could see a real Paul Idol, but it's not necessary. And also, we also hear Jessica Wagner's voice, drunk talking, and she then eventually passes out, and so there
Yeah,
are.
but Paul Idol is just used as a prompt for Danny to uh, speak about any number of topics.
But Paul
The
Idol is asking Danny questions in very much the same way. You're dismissing the Paul Idol character because you don't like him because he's based upon you. But Paul Idol serves the exact same function to Danny Wagner, spurring him. Well, not the exact same. Paul Idol serves to open up the play and talk about the past. He's not probing Danny's inner things. He's probing Danny's past, whereas the disembodied voice seems to be a projection of Lana. Whereas we know that Paul Idol is a separate character, but they serve similar functions in that they open things up.
Well, I agree with you. I don't like the character though. No, but the thing is that the disembodied voice also has a different function than Paul Idol in that it seems antiphonal and then sometimes antipodal to what she's speaking. Other times they sort of sync up. For whatever reason, I think it's her mother or something they speak very fondly of. But for the most part, this embodied voice is either chiding her or Lana is arguing with it. And some of the arguments have sort of an absurdist humor to them, where they'll go on telling each other. One will speak about how that's not how it is, and the other one says, yes, it is. And it goes on for a page and a half of them just denying and reaffirming their own points.
Yeah, well, Lana is a childish character. She's 8 years older than Danny, but she's clearly feeling her biological clock ticking, and she's shown as desperate. Danny and her are together for a couple of weeks. They go away, or they have sex the first weekend. The second weekend they have sex, but they go away to a bed and breakfast. And we're told this. One of the key choices that I made was not to show the breakup scene. I didn't want to have the breakup scene between Lana where they're yelling at each other or accusatory or whatnot. To me, that seemed too trite. So we gloss over it, and we even gloss over Lana's little spite at the scene where we see that Danny is on a break and he's sitting at a table. Lana comes, doesn't say anything to him. Danny says, "Oh, that's how it's going to be."
That's a really great scene too.
And he just flips a couple of pages of a porno magazine because they both work at this Badger News, which is a major distributor of pornography. And then she files. Then we find out later in the scene with the disembodied voice that she filed charges of harassment against Danny Wagner. And the thing that's good about that scene that comes after that scene with them not speaking on the break is that I based that on The Prisoner too. In the penultimate episode, where number 2 is trying to break number 6, and then number 2 eventually dies. So in that scene, we see the disembodied voice, or hear the disembodied voice, basically really chiding Lana as to why did you do that to Danny. And then we hear some other things that she did to other men that we don't know of, and we only hear her ex-husband Neil, the boyfriend she had just prior to Danny, Benny, and that kind of thing, and so we get this, and it's also Paul Idol's boyfriend is named Ben, and Lana's ex-boyfriend is named Benny. So there are those little kind of subtle linkages that go back between the Danny-Paul relationship and the Lana disembodied voice relationship. And Jessica also acts in a certain way as a bridge between, we get a few minor scenes of hearing her stuff. And then to tie it back, the play goes back to the Stacey Stafford character.